This is the To Health With That Naturally Healthy in No Time podcast for big health topics taken in small bites. I'm your host, naturopathic Dr. Amy Newsel, and this is Season 1, all about the MTHFR mutation. This week, let's talk about dosing methylfolate. MTHFR is for life, and you will feel best if you're working on making your methylation great for the rest of your life. That doesn't usually mean finding a dose of whatever you're taking and sticking with it. It means rolling with the punches and allowing your body to change and evolve as your health changes and evolves. Generally, there are 3 different dosing strategies that I think are useful. I certainly find that in myself and my clients, times of higher stress of any kind usually need a little bit more support in the form of methylfolate. If I get sick, I need a little bit more, if I've had less sleep than usual, or if I'm starting a new project and my brain is constantly churning, those are good times for extra support. Also at those times, I might need support of different kinds. Likewise, if things are breezy and I have good sleep, time to relax, and lower stress, then I probably don't need to take anything. I can just keep a good diet. It gets easier to adjust and listen to your body as you get more familiar with your own red flags, both when you're low and need support, and when you're a bit too high and need to back down. But really understanding your signals. By really understanding your body's signals, you can dose in my favorite way, which is intuitive dosing. We'll also talk about Dr. Ben Lynch's pulse method and a mixed dosing strategy. Intuitive dosing to me is the absolute ideal way to dose your supplements because you can check in with your body to see what you actually need that day. You don't have to have any supplements you take every day like clockwork. It can all be much more individualized to your own needs in the moment. There are 2 things that you actually need to understand for this to work, and those are your own personal red flags and energy level, and also what each supplement actually does for you. To do this effectively, you need a symptom, and you need an appropriate response. I'll give you some examples from my own life that might help you to understand. So if I get up in the morning feeling sluggish, that's a symptom. I definitely take my multivitamin, my 5-LMTHF, and a vitamin E with breakfast. Because the multi and methylfolate will give me an energy boost, and the vitamin E will help to neutralize any oxidative stress that might be happening because I'm tired. I also do things like add electrolytes to my water and really focus on getting enough water for the day because that also helps with energy. So that's the appropriate response to boost energy and counteract excess stress. Also on those days, I try to support my body more with lifestyle things. Get to bed earlier in the evening or try to fit in a short nap. That almost never happens. And give myself some downtime. Generally take better care of me. If I'm having more joint or muscle pain, symptom, then I'm likely to also add a high dose of fish oils for their anti-inflammatory properties and maybe boost the magnesium in my water, which is the appropriate response for inflammation and pain. There are also some supplements that I take just to maintain good levels, like vitamin D. I don't take those daily, I don't take anything daily, but I do add them in when I'm taking other things. So if I'm having a day where I need some extra support, then I'll throw a vitamin D into the mix just to make sure that I'm getting it pretty regularly. There are some supplements that need to build up in the bloodstream to be effective. For example, I have mold allergies that typically activate in the fall. If I take my allergy supplement as needed, I find it to be much less effective than if I take it as recommended, which is the high loading dose for 5 days, and then a steady lower dose for the duration of the season. So for that one, I do take it regularly and not on an intuitive basis so that I don't actually have to experience my allergies, which I don't enjoy. There are a few things that absolutely have to be taken daily. Those include prenatal vitamins and supplements, because while you're trying to conceive, building a baby, or nursing, it's a pretty unusual situation and your body needs extra support constantly through that process. Also, prescription drugs from your doctor absolutely have to be taken as directed, always. Also, when you're acutely ill. If you're going through a disease process or sick with a short-term cold or flu or whatever, or starting an intensive weight loss program, you probably need a little bit more consistent support. In terms of benefits of intuitive dosing, you get what you need when you need it. You save money on supplements because you're not taking them needlessly. I think you retain optimal absorption. Now, this is my own theory, so take it with a grain of salt, but I believe anything your body gets absolutely every day is easily ignored and gets lower priority in terms of absorption than things that show up sometimes but not others. Also, there's less waste of supplements, and it's easier to avoid toxicity reactions. The last but not least benefit is that you become more aware of your body's needs, which also makes it easier to maintain a really great MTHFR lifestyle. The problem is it can be hard, especially for people who are really out of touch with their bodies or who've had a lot of trauma, and so they tend to dissociate because they just may not notice what their body's feeling. It's beneficial to work on it in the long run, but that can be a process. Some people also really need a routine to help them remember supplements in the first days. For those people, a mixed dosing strategy might be the most appropriate. It does take some practice to learn to trust your body's signals and to respond appropriately. Also, it can be difficult to keep track of what your supplements are doing for you, and as humans, we have a tendency to hear about the latest new thing and do the research on the internet and decide we need it and start taking it, and then 5 months later we're still taking it, but we don't remember what it's for and we're not really sure if it's working. So those supplements, it's best to just drop with intuitive dosing. You really do have to actually understand what your supplement is doing for you. Dr. Ben Lynch talks about the pulse method of dosing. In his book, Dirty Genes, he goes over it reasonably extensively and also on his blog, mthfr.net. Here's the method. Stop or reduce a supplement when you feel great. First, lower your dose, then keep lowering it until you're down to little or no dose at all. If you feel bad again over time, increase the dose gradually. If you start getting different symptoms, that might mean you're taking too much. In many ways, it's really similar to intuitive dosing. You're still using your own symptoms as a guide, and when you feel great, you probably don't need much. When you feel poorly, you need a little more. It would also take a little bit of practice to perfect, but it works for lots of people. The third pattern is called a mixed dosing pattern. This is the best way to dose methylfolate and other supplements if you feel like the other two are too difficult or if you thrive on routine. Take a low dose of your multi and whatever else you routinely take, like your 5-LMTHF. This shouldn't be your maximum tolerated dose. It should be maybe half to 3/4 of that. Take weekends off of everything. I still want some days to optimize absorption. If you feel bad, take a little extra of the thing that's most likely to help. Benefits of mixed dosing is that it adds a level of routine and stability that some people really thrive on. It still gives you flexibility to add when you need additional support, and because you're taking lower than your threshold, maximum daily dose, then we're minimizing the risk of causing an overdose reaction. Not that it can't happen, we're just hopefully making it less likely. Also, you get a break on weekends. In terms of drawbacks, you do still have to be a little bit aware of how you're feeling in that moment. And if you're not good at knowing that, you may not be getting an optimal dosage on the days when you need a little bit of extra support. Also, you may be taking supplements on days when you really could have skipped them entirely. No matter what, with MTHFR, it's important to know what works best for you. If you're a routine person, mixed dosing might be best. If you're in good touch with your body and your symptoms, intuitive dosing is just right. If you like being flexible but want simple ground rules, then I think Dr. Lynch's pulse method could be the best way forward. Next week, we're going to deep dive into the difference between taking 5-LMTHF and folinic acid. They are both really great forms of folate. They're both natural forms, but they're not both right for everybody. Thanks for listening.